No one has the balls to stand up like I'm doing right now. Stop the crap already. We're all Americans. We're all equal. I don't see black. I don't see Asian. I don't see anything but American.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bo Dietl's One Tough Podcast. Today we have a really special guest, but he's more than a guest. He's like family to me, and he just happens to be, I think, the best defense lawyer there is. That's right. Bo's saying he's the best because one thing about this guy, Joe Tacopina, is he's got a great assemblies of other attorneys that do the backup units. That one guy does one thing, this, that, and they come with a team and they dissect the case and they pull out every aspect and then they go into court. You know, people understand something. When you have a trial attorney, it's all about selling it to that jury. And there's nobody that sells it better to that jury than my friend Joe Tacopina. Good morning, Joe.
Thank you, brother. Wow, that was a nice intro from someone I respect as much as you.
It's true, and you know I do know everybody, and I've seen you in action. And when you get into that courtroom, it's like you're doing a movie. You got to sell it, you know?
I do. I mean, it is theater, part of it, right? And that's part of what I love about it, the oratorical part of it. It is part combat sport. Right?
Yeah.
There is a warrior mentality that has to go there. It's a, kill or be killed thing, like you experience in sport.
But you wait. But you come prepared.
Oh,
it's
no,
like the only way I can
idea.
compare it is like a heavyweight boxer training for a fight because, first of all, you're in some fucking shape, Joe.
Well,
and I'm going to tell you something. All the girls are going to be looking at you now, Joe. You're in great physical shape, and it's part of it. I think the physical stature of what you are helps you with your mental state.
It definitely. Oh my God, Bo, please. Yeah. Without this, look. When I'm on trial, you know, we've been through this together.
No, I've been waiting for you on with this trial that you just come off of. What's the guy's name?
ASAP Rocky.
Well, what's that money sign? What the hell's that all about?
ASAP means always strive and prosper.
Oh,
it's an uplifting message.
ASAP, but it's AS.
ASAP. ASAP.
Yeah, but the thing is, it got a money sign there. Money sign.
Because they want to make money ASAP.
Oh,
listen, when they first called me to represent him,
yeah.
I was on trial in New Jersey in another case, and they said, you have to get over there. And I got a message from Rock Nation about ASAP Rocky. And I said, oh, okay. And now I didn't really know the music genre that well, so I didn't know really who he was. I heard the name, but, I always thought it was ASAP Rocky, right? So I said to my kids, hey, guys, I got to run them. Do you know this rapper? I'm going to be representing ASAP Rocky. I'm like, oh, my God, Dad, don't ever say that again to anybody. I'm like, why? ASAP Rocky, not ASAP Rocky. So I was like, oh, sorry. But now I'm ASAP Joe. He officially crowned me in front of the entire world after the trial's press conference we did outside ASAP Joe. And they promised to name their third kid ASAP Joe.
Well, I was in communication with Chad Siegel, who's one of your partners there, and Matt Diorio. Like I said, you guys come fully prepared. Yeah. But talking to Chad, the last time I spoke to him when you guys were out there, I said, oh, shit, because he mentioned that what the jury was picked at. I says, oh, shit, and it just shows you, well, give the makeup of the jury, Joe.
Well, the makeup of the jury, we're in downtown Los Angeles, Joe. And we're in the same courtroom that the O.J. Simpson trial was in.
Oh,
it's the 9th floor courtroom. It's the high security court floor.
Yeah.
And so we're in that same courtroom. And the O.J. jury, you remember, downtown Los Angeles. The DA didn't want to move it out because
I was a Fox contributor during the trial of O.J., and what I do is I tell the listening audience, watch the O.J. thing on the Netflix. I tell you want to get angry with this fucking Furman and all these guys, and then what they went against this assembly of some very tough lawyers there, and O.J. got away with double murder. But
he did, but he was given some gifts. Like
Furman.
But
by Furman, that was a gift.
That was a gift, and Adder was a gift. But putting that aside, so here we get a jury. I'm like, okay, downtown L.A. I have, Rakim, ASAP Rocky is a kid who made it from Harlem, a black kid who came from the streets, was in at points in time homeless shelters. I mean, really made it successfully. I'm thinking we're going to have at least a good cross-section of community. A jury of his peers will have some representation of the black community.
Some Crips in there, maybe.
I just want some people from Compton and Englewood. Just one or two. We had 106 jurors come in for the potential jury pool.
Yeah.
And as they were coming in, I was like, what? There was 4 black people in 106.
Holy
and the first one
shit.
was juror number 74, which means the first, 40 jurors would have to, all call out sick for me to even get to say hello to a black person.
Wow.
I didn't,
Were you
I didn't
nervous
speak
during
to a
this
black
time,
person.
Joe?
I don't get nervous, Bo.
No, maybe we're concerned, better word.
It was odd. Let's put it that way. It was odd that we didn't have one black person downtown Los Angeles.
When Chad told me you didn't have one black on a jury, I says, oh, shit.
Yeah, but you know what? It's okay, and I was still good with it because they offered us a plea of 6 months, right, which meant 3 months in jail. He was facing 20, okay, years.
Did you ever think about having him take the plea, Joe?
No, not even for a second. Not even for a second. Neither did he, and he has some onions because that's
But then
a
again,
hell of a
Joe,
risk.
then again, if he got convicted, Joe, he may have put a hit on you.
There's no way. There was no way I was letting him get convicted in that case. I mean, we shredded their. Look, it goes back to what you said before about being prepared. We had a jury that was 3 Asians and the rest white, maybe 1 Hispanic thrown in there. And it was at this point, once we started the trial, I didn't care what color they were. I just wanted them to be good people, and I picked a smart jury. We literally had, Bo, a rocket scientist on the jury. And, we say that, throw a term around. I'm not a rocket scientist. I can't figure it out, But literally a rocket scientist, a scientist who built rocket ships.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, we have you on the jury. We have a smart jury. They're going to understand the burdens here. They're going to understand proof beyond a reasonable doubt. They're going to understand all the reasons to doubt. And this jury they were 11-1 within the first minute for acquittal.
Wow.
After 4 weeks of testimony, within 1 hour, it was all 12 not guilty.
You think that juror was kind of leading the pack?
I don't know who was leading the pack. I spoke to a lot of jurors
Because
afterwards.
what happens, from my experience, you get a juror that has a lot more intelligence than the other ones.
We had a lot of smart jurors.
Yeah.
I mean, I picked a particularly smart jury on purpose. And we did a little rope-a-dope with the prosecution. They thought we were, waiting to get some street jurors and stuff. I wanted smart jurors in this case. And we got them, and within an hour acquitted.
That was a great strategy.
And so, but what you said earlier is true. We prepare in a way that no one else does. And I'm not taking anything away from other lawyers, but, for every hour I stand up in that courtroom, we're preparing 25. The cross-examination, the reason why, what people have always said about my cross-examinations is that they're the best, they're the most thorough, they're devastating. But you've never seen it. People have read the transcripts of it. Judge Napolitano went on, I think, Sid's show and said it's the greatest cross he's ever seen because he went to the courtroom and saw me do the Trump cross.
Yeah.
And so the fact that this was on TV, I actually opposed cameras in the courtroom in this case, and I was
this
laughing
whole
at.
thing was on TV?
The whole trial, Bo.
Wow.
It was in California. Every
Was
minute.
it on Court TV, Joe?
Court TV and crime and law and crime.
Yeah.
Law and crime, Dan Abrams thing. And then, so it was, of course, once the bell rings, I don't even know what's behind me. I forget about that because I'm mission-oriented. But the fact that it was on TV,
You're mission-oriented like a fight. Knock them out.
That's all.
Get
I just
'em
see
out.
what's in front of me. I just literally see what's in front of me. And I did. What I did to that complaining witness, their victim, quote unquote, I shredded him to the point where jurors, some were laughing at him, some turned their head away from him. And there were people who thought that after my cross, they should have dismissed the case. I spoke to jurors. After halfway through my cross-examination, they already decided they were voting not guilty. 5 jurors said that to me. And it was not
You
because I'm the
spoke to
greatest
the jury after
the trial.
That's great to do
Yeah.
that. Get the
Oh, yeah.
intelligence.
'Cause I wanted to
for-
hear what's happening in there. And so I didn't speak to all the jurors, but I spoke to 5 or 6. And so they were really very strong in their opinions and conclusions. But the cross on this guy was good that it was televised because people got to see what I do. And that was so thorough. It said the cross-examination itself, Bo, is the easiest part of the trial for me. It's the preparation for the cross that's the hardest part. Once I'm up there, I have every question. I know every answer.
And you got all the bullets.
And I know
for
where it's coming from.
You got all the bullets for the guns.
I have
You're
all
not
the
going
books
to
for
run out
them.
of ammunition.
Not even a little bit, because I'm not asking a question I don't know the answer to. I'm not asking a question that this witness is going to give me the answer to either the hard way or the
No
easy way.
surprise.
There's no surprise.
No glove. Like in the OJ case, if it doesn't fit, you acquit.
Yeah, I'm not asking
That
for
was-
in-courtroom demonstrations. I mean, that was one of the worst prosecutorial moves I've ever seen. But
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, we do overly prepare. As a matter of fact, Judge Arnold, the judge in this case, was a great guy, former cop.
Yeah.
He came up to me afterwards
Oh,
and
he's
said,
a former cop, the judge.
Judge
The
was
judge?
a former sheriff. Yeah, he was great.
Wow.
Really, one of the best judges I've ever been before. And he said to me, I've never seen anyone do this. Like, you did a 5.5-hour summation. You covered every point. Your cross-examination, you covered every point. Do you guys do this for every trial? I've never seen this kind of thing before. And I said, Yeah, that's the only way we know. And it doesn't have to be a famous case or a famous client. We've represented people that you and I represent together who are anonymous people to the world, but they're important to us at that moment because their lives are on the line.
The one that comes to mind is that Sergeant Hector. What was his name?
Cardigan.
Yeah,
that's coming up, brother. That is a war. That is disgusting. That's what we should talk about.
An overview of this because
that's the worst case.
Yeah,
it's one of the worst cases I've ever
seen. A sergeant.
Sergeant Yonkers PD.
Yonkers, good.
This guy, that's a case.
Well, first of all, to get a face at Baraki there. Congratulations with that. It's a great thing. You know, I do security, and you should tell your friends there from Live Nation, you know, Bo is still doing security.
Rock Nation, yeah.
What's her name?
Rock Nation, not Live, Rock.
Well, either or, but Rock Nation has a gal. What's her name? She's still there?
The boss, Desiree. Yeah.
Desiree.
Of course,
tell Desiree Bo still does security. But keep going.
Anyway, it was a great war. It was a war the prosecutor was particularly annoying and a little bit of a bitch, I could say that, right? So they whined every day, and it was like people started calling him Lou Whiner. He's a guy who had clearly I thought had some issues, but the jury did not like him, so that was good. I didn't think so.
All right, let's go to
anyway, Hector Cardigan. This is one of the worst stories I've ever heard, Bo. And this is a case you have to
for
follow.
the audience. This is not a big money case for Joe.
No.
This is the little guy that got an allegation against him that could go away for a long time, and this is going to be the other side of Joe. You have the headline case with the money behind it. Now you got the non-headline case. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, this is a sergeant in Yonkers PD. He's a sergeant for 26 years. He doesn't have a blemish, Bo, on his record. He doesn't have one disciplinary finding against him in 26 years. That's not easy to do.
I know that.
Okay? So he was a sergeant one day. His son is a patrolman in his unit, okay? He was in the precinct listening, and there was a call about a carjacking, a guy who had this stolen car, and there was a chase in Yonkers. You know, Yonkers is a little village, right? I mean, so they're doing a high-speed chase in Yonkers. He is now brake-checking cops. He's crashing into cop cars. Cops getting hurt because they're chasing this guy. He stops. They smash into his rear. They hit their head against the windshield. They're getting hurt. Sergeant Cardigan hears a call while he's in the precinct. Car number, I think, whatever the number is irrelevant, I think it's 51, but car number 51, down, officer needs assistance. And it was one of those urgent officer needs assistance calls.
That was his son?
That was his son.
Wow.
And so, when you become a police officer, you still are a father. You don't cease being a father. And, people don't understand. Look, you were one of the greatest cops the city's ever seen. I've never been a police officer. I have so many relatives of mine as members of law enforcement. But what I try to remind people, especially when I'm representing a cop to a jury, is that, we go to work every day hoping we have a good day, hoping we make money, hoping we sell goods, hoping whatever we do well. That's what we go to work every day hoping. A police officer goes to work every day hoping they come home. Yeah. And you can't really put yourself in those shoes until you're in those shoes. Mm-hmm. Hector Cardigan then hears this. Here's his son is down, and it sounds like it's a critical condition call. So he now runs out of the precinct in his car. He's heading in that direction to his son. The streets are all blocked off and ambulance is there, and he sees the car that they're chasing. So he now goes in pursuit as well.
Oh, the car was still being pursued after he screwed up his son's car.
He was hitting multiple cops. Hector now is one of the lead cars chasing this guy in the streets of Yonkers. Yeah. He does another brake check. Hector's car rear ends him. Hector smashes his head, breaks the windshield. Okay? Oh. His head. He's still, instead of peeling off, he's still pursuing. They finally get this guy. They stop him. They're trying to arrest him. He is going crazy because he's on every type of drug you could imagine, which was proven in the lab test. He was on all sorts of PCP and all these different drugs. And he was going nuts. They couldn't handcuff him. Hector, according to guidelines, used strikes. He struck him with his fist and his shoe. He kicked him.
I used to use a radio. I used a double-barrel shotgun to hit guys on the head.
This is such a ridiculous thing. So this guy got hit with the fist and his shoe. It's reasonable force based on his conduct. Of course. It's reasonable force based on what he'd been doing and the fact that he was resisting, and 3 officers couldn't get this guy handcuffed because he was so jumped up.
No-brainer.
So, right, no-brainer, you would think. Hector, who was a hero, winds up getting investigated, then winds up getting suspended, then winds up getting indicted. Indicted for felony assault with a dangerous weapon. You know what the dangerous weapon was?
Shoe?
His shoe, the department-issued boot, which is soft, by the way. Okay? Department-issued shoe was the dangerous weapon. So they indict him. The department, and this has to do with the mayor. So the mayor of Yonkers wanted Hector's support. He was the leader of the Hispanic law enforcement union in Yonkers.
Yeah.
Hector didn't see eye to eye with him. He didn't give him his political support. And there were witnesses who will say that mayor had said, retribution's coming.
What year is this now, Joe?
This is just a couple of years ago, within the last 2 years.
And what was the mayor's name?
I don't remember the Yonkers mayor's name. He's still the Yonkers mayor. And when this happened with Hector, he said, it's my time for revenge. Okay? And this is what I've been told by witnesses. So all of a sudden, Hector's case is referred by the police commissioner who works for the mayor up to the district attorney's office. They review the videotape, and they wind up indicting this guy. They were offering him years in jail.
Yeah.
First arrest, no blemish, hero cop, years in jail. The perp, who had another case, the stolen car, the carjacking, the deadly assault on officers.
Gave him the Medal of Honor for the Yonkers.
First, he was being offered multiple years in jail on a felony plea.
Yeah.
Then, as Hector's case became obvious that we were not taking a plea,
Yeah.
all of a sudden they offered that guy a misdemeanor and no jail time. A guy who badly hurt police officers, who stole a car, who committed acts of violence in Yonkers, was a one-man crime spree, not to mention he was on every sort of drug imaginable.
Unbelievable.
He was offered a misdemeanor with no jail time. So what? So he could cooperate against Hector. I mean, it is unbelievable to me that Westchester District Attorney's
So
office
you're actually going to trial with this?
We are going to trial.
Well, do me a favor.
Yeah.
I'm serious,
Yeah.
Joe. You call me in as an expert witness. You got to remember my career.
I do.
And I've never killed nobody. I've used necessary force, where necessary force meant whatever's in your hand, you use to knock and subdue that person, and that's it. Very simple. If you're going to go home, like you just said, he ain't going to kill you, because in reality, if he hit Hector and he was whacked out and got Hector's gun and killed him, we wouldn't even be here today.
Hector already had a concussion from what he did with the car. I mean, his head was all screwed up. Not to mention, I mean, it's just so outrageous that how do you become a cop today?
Please call me in as an
I
expert
will.
witness.
They cut off, by the way, they cut off his health insurance. They cut off his everything. They destroyed
I'll
this
do
guy.
it for nothing. All right, I'm serious,
Okay,
Joe,
yeah,
because
that's a trial,
when I
though.
hear these stories
Yeah, me
like
too.
this, and I have a name, people know it. I was a decoy, bugged 500 times,
I know
stabbed,
you were.
shot at, everything, hospitalized 30 times, fractured skull. So I want to be there, and I want to look at that jury. But then again, geez, there's juries. You can't figure them out. You can't figure them out.
I've had a pretty good run with juries. I'm
Well,
okay
you had a
with them.
real good run here.
But that's my 8th in a row.
I
Having a
wanted
good
to
run.
talk. I could talk to you to next week, but I want to touch upon two other subjects. The one subject that I knew very well was P. Diddy, and then I want to talk a little bit about the current mayor of New York City on the way at the end. But let's go with P. Diddy. Now, I know that little guy. I met him, it was in the 1990s when they had a rock show, and I'll never forget, I was retired, and I got a call. They brought him into 2-5 precinct, and he was in his cell. This is when they had the riot. I think 9 people got stampeded and all.
Yeah.
That's really when I first met him. Then we did the case with the shooting in New York, and I should have brought you in instead of Lord Fauntleroy, whatever.
That's right. You brought Ben Brofman into that.
Yeah,
case,
no, Mike Saravollo brought him in.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like Ben Brofman. I think he's not Joe Tacopina. I get in trouble, I call Joe Tacopina. I don't bring Sir Lancelot in there. You know, he's like a deal maker with his little long hair. He's like a little. I want my fighter. I want Joe getting my back. And
I find that fighting also gets you good deals. When they know you're going to go to trial, that's when you get the best deals, by the way.
So, I mean, to cop somebody out like he did. I brought him a case with Mel Weiss. I'll never forget it. Mel Weiss, my friend, a lawyer,
Yeah, sure.
with a class action lawyer. And I think he charged him some crazy multi-millions of dollars, whatever it was. And then he cops him out. And I said to him, what the hell did he need you for? I don't like that. If you're gonna roll the dice, you're gonna roll the dice. And Mel's no longer with us, but I had given him
Ben's
a lot
good
of
lawyer,
cases.
Ben's a very good lawyer. I'm not going to look.
Yeah,
you have
right.
different experiences with him. I mean, we never worked like that. Like I know you gave him a lot of work, so
Would you?
that's a different experience.
Would you think I'd rather have dinner with you or Ben Brofman?
You'd rather have dinner with me, of course.
That's it.
That's
the end of it.
that's the end of
God bless you, Ben Brofman, but I'm sorry, Ben. I'm going to call Joe in any one of my cases. I wish you luck, and that's it. Okay. Okay. So now, P. Diddy. That's what we're bringing it up to. So I've met him with that, the shooting in New York, and and then Oh, I was involved with these rock. I did Jay-Z with the stab. We did a lot of investigations, but let's stay with P. Diddy. So now from what you're hearing, and I had Stephen Baldwin, I had dinner with him, and his son-in-law is Justin Bieber. And all he would say is, this guy screwed him up really, really, really bad. I'm just wondering, all I know is from what I've heard, and none of this is factual the way I can prove that there was a lot of drugs that were being given to people and videotaped. When they hit those warrants, there's a reason why the judge won't give them bail. Obviously, when they hit these warrants, they must have found some really incriminating shit. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah,
what do you hear?
I mean, here's what I hear. I hear. Let me give you the
Would you hold
alternate
on?
side.
My Joe Tacopina. I call you mine because you're my lawyer.
I am yours.
That's it. My Joe Tacopina.
You're a
If
brother
this
to me.
scumbag called you up, would you take the case, Joe?
Absolutely not. Nope.
Good. Because I'll be honest with you,
I've been asked.
I'd have to
entertain.
say to you, Joe, I don't want no piece of this scumbag.
No.
But I
I've
saw him
already
with a
been
little
asked.
12-year-old girl saying, you're coming to my after party tomorrow night. And she's there. Yeah, I'm picking up bits and pieces. Just to me,
Based on what I know, it's not for me, this case. Not that he doesn't deserve counsel. Not that. I'm not even saying he's guilty, because I think this whole case will rise and fall
Ben
on
Bronfman will
consent.
take it. But go ahead.
The whole case rises and falls on consent. The whole thing does.
Yeah.
And, I have to. I want to sit back
Yeah,
and wait
but there's
to see
no
the evidence.
consent when a person's drugged.
That's 100% accurate. I've not seen really any evidence that anyone's been drugged before these freak-offs. What the prosecutors argued many times, and look, we don't know what all the evidence is yet, so I'm not pretending to know it all. We'll see it in May. We're going to find out. But they've argued that, he held over the fact that he was paying for their houses or their cars, and if they didn't participate in the freakouts, he wouldn't pay for them anymore. So what? He doesn't have to pay for their houses or their cars. If they did that voluntarily because they were getting a benefit from it, that's not lack of consent. That's consensual for their own purposes, their own motivations. What is lack of consensual is if you're a minor because you cannot give consent, or if you're drugged,
Right.
or if you have a gun
Well,
to
I
your
think
head.
that's where he's going to get nailed on the minors.
Yeah, well, if there's minors involved,
they can say,
it's
well,
game,
that
set, match.
12-year-old girl let me do it to her. Really?
No.
P.
That's
Diddley?
not a defense.
Yeah.
It's not even a defense to say I didn't know she was a minor. It's not a defense. It's statutory. If she's a minor and you had sex with her, you're guilty. There is no defense to that at all.
Yeah, the way it looks, he doesn't have too many friends around. And again, I keep
Well, that's part of the reason that
and
I'm not.
And I keep reiterating that no bail. I mean, they've often stood on their hands trying to get bail. So there's got to be something real
don't know.
devastating with the evidence.
I think bail should have been granted, at least the right conditions.
Normal.
What?
Normal. But obviously they've seen things that we haven't been privy to.
Well, the judge hasn't, because the judge has seen only what's been presented in court. I've read everything that's been presented in court.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't warrant him not getting bail. I mean, he should have the mistake
You
they
don't
made.
think,
The
you
mistake
don't
his
think the
lawyers made.
prosecution has a little whisper in the judge's ear?
I don't think in federal court works that way. So I'm a true believer that our system is fairly pure. I don't think in federal court the prosecution's whispering in the judge's ear.
So we won't be doing P. Diddle's case. Okay.
No, we will not be.
It's great to team up with you. A lot of different cases over the years that we've been involved, and we were on opposite sides on one case. That big creep, that urine Vandersloot, that 6'6" jerk off there, and with Natalie Holloway. Holloway. Yeah, and
turned
I had
out to be a
John
sociopath.
Q. Kelly, good lawyer. John's a good
great
lawyer.
guy, yeah.
He loves you, and he's
Love
a great
John.
lawyer. So we were on one side, and you were on the other side of the fence. And I'll never forget when we found out that he was flying in for WABC, because Chris Como comes into play now. WABC was going to have him as a special witness. They're flying him in from Holland. So what I did was I put one of my detectives on the same plane. I said, as soon as they hits the runway at Kennedy, I said, you walk over to him and you serve him the subpoena on the civil case. Does that. Now we're waiting outside because I said, I want to double serve. I want to do it personally because I'm a father.
I remember you being on that.
I'm a father. So also I had my video crew videotaping me. The guy was tall. He had his coat over his head. He looked like fucking Darth Vader. So I walk up to him. All of a sudden I go to serve him, and this guy goes to me and he pushes me. It was one of the producers of ABC. I pushed him right back. I knocked him on his ass. He didn't have too much good balance because he went boom, 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 boom. Next thing is I served him. I says, why don't you, And I did say it. I said, and I'm going to curse right now. I said, why don't you put your fucking hands around my throat like you did to that little girl, you scumbag? Come on, I'm a little guy. And I kept baiting him all the way out to his car. He didn't take the bait because I wanted to clock him. Yeah, I did. And then basically I get a call from Chris Como. And Chris calls me up and says, Bo, you knocked one of my producers on his ass. He's scared stiff. He thinks you're going to beat him up again. I said, no, it's all over with. Tell him, you don't put your hands on somebody if you don't want to get knocked on your ass. True. And that was it. It was the end of the story. But subsequently, he got his. He's in jail now.
Well, we did win that case, I will say, Bo. We won the New York case that you served him on. I got that dismissed. You know that, right?
That was only a civil case.
That's what you served him on.
Okay.
Okay, brother.